Hello and welcome to English Hoot. I am Sam.
And I am Lily. We are so happy you're here. We help you learn English in a fun and easy way.
Yes, today we talk about something very important. It is not a textbook. It is not a grammar rule.
It is a simple habit, the best habit for good English.
But first, a little story. This morning, I wanted to make coffee. My coffee machine made a funny noise. Brrrr. Like a small, angry robot.
Oh no.
I did not know what to do. I looked at it, I pressed some buttons, the noise continued. I felt a little afraid. What if I break it? So I just walked away. No coffee for Sam.
That is a sad story, Sam.
It is. But then my roommate came. She looked at the machine. She said, "Sam, why is it making that noise?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "Did you check the water?" I said, "Oh, no, I did not."
Let me guess, there was no water in the machine?
Yes, no water. Very simple problem, very easy solution. I just needed to ask one simple question. Is there water in the machine? But I did not ask. I was silent, and I had no coffee.
This happens to all of us, not only with coffee machines. It happens a lot with English. That is our first point today, the invisible wall holding you back.
An invisible wall is something you cannot see, but it stops you. Many English learners work hard. They study vocabulary. They learn grammar. But then they stop. They do not get better. This is a plateau.
Why? The problem is often not grammar. It is not vocabulary. It is fear. The hidden fear of asking questions.
Yes, think about a real situation. You are in a cafe. The cashier says something quickly. You do not understand the price. Maybe you are shy. Maybe you think, "My English is bad." So you just say, "Okay," and pay. Later, you think, "Did I pay the correct money?"
Or your friend tells a joke. Everyone laughs. You do not understand the joke, but you smile. You do not ask, "What does that mean?" You feel a little confused, a little outside the group.
These are small moments, but they are important. In my coffee story, my fear gave me no coffee. In English, your fear can give you confusion. It can give you embarrassment. It can stop your learning.
The fear says, "Do not ask. They will think you are stupid." Or, "Your question is not good." Or, "You should know this already."
But that is not true. Asking a question is brave. It is smart. When you do not ask, you stay behind the invisible wall. Your English cannot grow.
So, how do we break this wall? We use a superpower.
A superpower? Do we get a cape?
No cape, Sam, but it is very powerful. It's the power of the pause. Why asking questions transforms learning.
Pause means to stop for a short time. In a conversation, you can pause. You can say, "Wait, please," or "Can you repeat that?" This small pause changes everything.
Yes, before you were a passive receiver. You just listen. You try to catch words. It's like watching a fast train go by.
But when you ask a question, you become an active participant. You are not just watching the train, you are driving the train. You control the conversation. You say, "Stop, go slower, explain this to me."
This is very good for your brain. When you ask, "What does that word mean?" you learn new vocabulary. You learn it in a real situation. You remember it better.
And there's a psychological boost. Psychological is about your mind and feelings.
When you ask a question, you feel in control. You feel less overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means feeling too much emotion, like fear or confusion. You take one small step, and that step makes you stronger.
So, asking questions is not a sign of weakness. It is a tool for learning, a tool for confidence.
But Sam, I have a question.
Yes, ask me anything.
What if I don't know how to ask? What if my question is wrong?
Ah, that is the perfect question, and it brings us to the next part. Your questioning toolkit.
A toolkit has tools for a job. Our job is asking good questions, and our first tool is very simple. We will talk about it right after a short break.
But before we pause, listeners, we have a question for you. Think about a time you were afraid to ask something in English. What happened? Please tell us your story in the comments below this video. We read every comment, and we love to hear from you.
Your story can help other learners. You are not alone. We are all learning together. Now, let's take a quick pause. Welcome back to English Shoot. We are talking about the best habit for good English, asking questions.
Yes, and Lily asked a great question before the break. What if you don't know how to ask? So let's open our questioning toolkit. These are practical strategies. You can use them today.
Our first tool is easy and powerful. It is the echo question technique.
Echo, like in a mountain? You shout hello, and the mountain says hello.
Almost. An echo question is when you repeat a part of what someone says, but you say it like a question. Your voice goes up at the end. For example, I say to Sam, "The meeting is at 3 o'clock."
And I don't understand meeting, so I say, meeting? That's all, just one word. Meeting?
Yes, then I know you don't understand that word. I can explain it. A meeting is when people talk about work or a project. It is simple. It is fast. You don't need to make a long sentence.
It is also good for checking information. Lily says, meet me at the library. I say, the library? My voice goes up. This means, are you sure? The library?
Exactly. It gives you more time. It helps you check. And it is very easy. Try it now. Say, library, with your voice going up.
Library?
Perfect! You sound like a native speaker. This is a great first tool. The second tool is using why and how. These are small words but very strong.
Why asks for a reason. How asks for a method. When you use them, the conversation becomes deeper. It does not finish fast. For example, your friend says, I like this movie.
You can say, why do you like it? Now your friend talks more. You hear more English. Or, how did you find this movie? This means, how did you discover it?
You learn new words from their answer, and people love to talk about their opinions. Why and how make people talk more. This is good for you. You can listen and learn.
But Sam, sometimes I am nervous. I am not in a real conversation. How can I practice?
Great point. This is our third tool, role-playing scenarios. Role-playing means you pretend to be in a situation.
You can do this alone or with a friend. You can do it in your room. It is a low-stakes environment. Low stakes means no pressure. Nothing bad happens if you make a mistake.
For example, pretend you are in a cafe. You are the customer. Your friend or your pillow is the cashier.
The cashier says, that'll be $5.75. You say, sorry, can you repeat that? Or $5.75? That's an echo question.
Yes, or pretend you are watching a TV show with a friend. You can pause and ask your friend, why did she do that? Or what does this word mean?
Practicing in a safe place makes you confident. Then, in a real situation, it is easier. You did it before.
Now we have our tools. But what about the fear? The voice in your head that says, don't ask. We need to talk about that.
Yes. So our next big point is overcoming the fear, building a questioning mindset. A mindset is how you think.
The first step is very important. You must embrace, I don't know. Embrace means to accept it happily.
Saying, I don't know, is not weak. It is honest. It is the first step to learning. When you say, I don't know, you open a door. New information can come in.
Think about a teacher. A teacher loves when a student says, I don't understand. Why? Because now the teacher can help. It's the same with English. When you ask, you help the other person help you.
The second step is the smallest question first challenge. Do not start with a big, difficult question. Start very small.
For example, today, your challenge is to ask about time. Ask someone, what time is it? Or, Is it 3 o'clock now? That's all. One small question.
Or when you are buying something, ask, how much is this? You know this question. It is easy, but you are practicing the habit of asking.
Every time you do it, it becomes easier. You get a small victory, and you must celebrate your mini victories.
Yes. Did you ask, can you repeat that today? Fantastic. Tell yourself, good job. Did you look up a word you didn't know? Excellent. Write it down.
This is very important. Learning English is a long journey. You must celebrate the small steps. They are all important.
Sam, do you celebrate your mini victories?
Oh yes, this morning I asked a question at the supermarket. I asked, "Where's the bread?" And the person said, "Aisle 4." I understood, and I found the bread. I celebrated with a sandwich.
That is a perfect celebration. You see, asking questions brings good things. Sometimes it brings bread.
And coffee. Remember my coffee machine story? Now I always check the water, and I am not afraid to ask simple questions.
This is a good place to pause again. But before we go to the last part, we have another question for you, listeners.
Yes, think about our toolkit. Which tool is good for you? Is it the echo question, or asking why and how, or maybe role-playing? Tell us in the comments, my favorite tool is... Write one sentence. We want to know.
It is good practice for you, and it helps us make better lessons for you. Now, let's take one more short break.
Welcome back for the final part of English Hoot. We are almost finished, but this is the most important part.
Yes, because now we talk about action. How do you start? How do you make asking questions a normal habit? This is Your Confident English Future Starts Now.
The best way to build a habit is to make it small and connect it to something you already do. Let's talk about daily habits.
For example, you watch TV or YouTube in English. This is a perfect time to practice. When you hear a word you don't know, pause the video, say the word, ask yourself, what does this mean? Then write it down or say it again.
You can do this with music too. Listen to an English song. Read the words, the lyrics. Find one line you don't understand. Ask, why do they say this? Then look for the answer online. It is fun.
When you read a book or a website in English, do the same. Stop after a few sentences. Ask yourself, what did I just read? Explain it in simple English to yourself. If you can't explain it, maybe you need to read it again. That is a question to yourself.
Even better, find a learning partner, a friend who also learns English. Every day, send them one question. It can be a word, or a picture, or a grammar point. Your question can be very simple. What is this in English? With a picture of your cup. How do I say, I'm tired in a different way?
This makes learning social and fun, and you practice asking every single day. The habit becomes strong.
And Lily, there is something wonderful that happens. It is the ripple effect.
A ripple is a small wave in water. When you throw a stone, it makes one ripple, then more and more ripples.
When you start asking questions in English, it creates ripples in your life. First, your English gets better because you learn more. Then you feel more confident in conversations. You talk more.
Then, this confidence spills into other areas. Spills into means it goes to other places. Maybe you feel more confident at work. Maybe you feel more confident meeting new people. Because you practiced being brave in English. You practiced saying, I don't know. Can you help me?
It changes your mindset. You are no longer a passive learner. You are an active explorer. An explorer asks many questions. What is that? How does this work? Why is that there?
That is a beautiful way to think about it, Sam. A language explorer.
So, we are at the end of our show. We talked about the invisible wall of fear. We learned about the power of the pause and the superpower of questions.
We opened our toolkit with echo questions, why/how, and role-playing. We talked about fighting fear by embracing I don't know and starting with small questions.
And now we come to our call to action. This is the most important thing.
We want you to commit to asking one question today. Just one. It can be to anyone. It can be to a friend, a teacher, a shop assistant, or even to Google.
It can be very, very small. Can you speak slower, please? What does breakfast mean? Is this the right way to the station?
After you ask your one question, stop. Observe the shift. Observe means to watch and notice. How do you feel? A little scared? Good. A little proud? Also good. What happened? Did the person help you? Did you learn something new? That small feeling, that small victory, is the beginning of your confident English future. It starts with one question.
So, promise yourself you will ask one question in English today. And please come back and tell us about it. Write in the comments, "Today I asked," tell us your question, or just tell us how you felt. We are a community. We support each other.
Your story inspires us, and it inspires other learners. You can do this.
We believe in you. Thank you so much for listening to English Hoot today.
If you liked this lesson, please let us know. Give this video a thumbs up. It helps other learners find us.
And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that button so you don't miss our next fun lesson.
What will we talk about next time? Maybe we will talk about how to think in English, or how to understand jokes.
Or maybe how to order the perfect coffee and ask about the water in the machine.
Yes, Sam, that is a very important lesson. Until next time.
Keep learning, keep asking, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.